Hey guys, it's Rena. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm still kind of playing around with the lights. The soft boxes I got are quite cool tone. I find they really do make me look quite blue. Like everything looks very blue, and my makeup usually looks a little washed out. Today we're doing okay. We're doing all right. But I'm still trying to work it out, and my fiance and I are looking for another place which will hopefully have better access to natural light, because I essentially have zero access to natural light, and luckily that's not something that drives me batty and just like, you know, makes depression a very real thing. But hopefully in the future, the next place we go, hopefully we'll have better windows and better access to natural light, because I feel like natural light plus these, it would just be great. So I'm trying to balance it out with some warmth from my lamp, but I apologize. I'm working on it. So today we have a review on something I have been anticipating for a very long time. You guys probably know by now that Black Moon Cosmetics is one of my favorite brands overall. I was going to say indie brands, but you know, they're just a favorite brand in general. They make one of my favorite liquid lipstick formulas, if not my favorite. They're kind of up, you know, up there tied between Jouer and Sugar Pill. And so I really love their brand. I love their branding. I love everything about them. So sorry, my bangs are also terrible. I'm turning into like Johnny Ramone. So this weekend I'm going to go get my hair cut and get my bangs trimmed up. But anyway, I really love Black Moon. Their customer service is great. I've always gotten their packages within like a couple days of ordering. And I just find their presentation to be very gorgeous and very, very aesthetically pleasing. So if you don't know Black Moon Cosmetics, they are an indie makeup brand. They kind of cater to like this goth type of, I don't know, like goth subculture type of vibe. And I really, really like their products. Their liquid lipsticks come in a wide range of colors, from very neutral to intense green blues. So I find a color for everyday scenario. Sorry, my lipstick. I'm testing out a lipstick today, so it looks a little patchy. You'll see a review on that coming up soon, probably. Yeah, but they have, it's not Black Moon. I just said dark green lipstick, and now I'm like, no guys, it's not this. This is Notoriously Morbid's Mystic Matte formula, so I will get back to you guys on what I think about that. But back to the main point, Black Moon Cosmetics. They're great. I just like that I find a lipstick for every occasion in my life, essentially. I can wear Libra for everyday work and school purposes, Wrath if I want to have like an everyday but kind of a little bit more special, and then I have stuff like Sorrow and Armageddon, which are just like two of my favorite liquid lipsticks of all time, that are just metallic blue, red goodness. Really, really like Black Moon. And I think that their liquid lipsticks are just great. I've also used their eyeshadows, their liquid eyeshadows. Those are good. Not my favorite, but they're good. And I really like their Luna topper, which can be used for eyes, cheeks, or lips. I love that product. So I'm a big fan. And when they announced they were doing a palette, I flipped out. And they announced this back in like March or April of last year, of like 2017. And I just lost it. I was super stoked, and they teased it for a long time. The first thing they ever showed us was the outside of the packaging. Mine is a little bit dirty. Been using it, so I can give you guys an honest review that from someone who's actually been using it. Just a little bit of shade to like first impression reviews. I like first impressions, but you know what I mean. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about. They showed this beautiful like holographic lettering on the outside. And I instantly was just like, I'm going to get it. It's amazing. I'm definitely going to get it. So let me tell you how disappointed I was when they finally showed the inside of the palette about a month ago or a month and a half ago. They've been touting this as the Orb of Light palette. That's what it's called. Full Moon palette, Orb of Light. It kind of has two names, which I find kind of strange. I'm not going to lie. I do find that weird. Orb of Light Full Moon palette is just a lot in one. I would have liked one or the other, I suppose. I think the term Orb of Light should have been used for something a little more ethereal than what we're getting here. unless Orb of Light is going to be their eyeshadow palette range, in which case I guess I get that it would be like a naked smoky palette, you know? But because this is called the Full Moon palette, and I will show you why. So you open it up, and it is circular, and half of it has our shadows, and the other half is our, sorry, you're seeing everything back there, is our mirror. Can't really bend it back, so I'm going to have to do this number. So this is the palette, and I was initially quite disappointed because, I mean, it's a neutral palette. And I understand that most brands want to have a standard neutral palette that, you know, first people new to their brand can go, oh, that's something I want to try because it's like familiar, or because you just want to be able to compete with everyone else who has a neutral palette. For me, Black Moon has been a brand that is very unique, bold, out there, not afraid to do neutral, but I expected a more of a mix of colors. I was really hoping, I knew that they said it was going to be all matte, which I'm fine with. I'm actually really into matte eyeshadows right now, so I was really excited. I like to have them as supplements, you know, for all the shimmers that I've acquired over the years. All matte, and then they said it was going to be their take on a neutral palette, which to me just meant like, I don't know, when I heard Orb of Light and their take on a neutral palette, I still expected grays and maybe purples and a couple like normal neutrals thrown in there too, but I really thought it was going to be a unique neutral palette, like a goth neutral palette. Do you know what I'm saying? And then to get this, I was a little bit like, oh, this looks like the Kat Von D Shade and Light eye palette. Not in the layout, because people have been saying that. People have been saying, like, oh, the mirror looks like Kat Von D. Oh, the shadows do. To me, that doesn't matter to me right here. Also, Kat Von D posted about it on her Instagram stories, so she has no beef with them. I see where people are coming from, but to me, it just has a general goth feel. A couple things I don't like. I don't mind that it's, like, in a spectrum. That's kind of helpful when you're trying to come up with looks. I don't like how this shadow is so huge. Oh my gosh. It's huge. And I was at least hoping that it would be more neutral in tone. It is very yellow. And this might work for some people, you know, as a highlight, but I know their intention was for it to be a highlight. And I just don't know that it's going to work on a lot of people since it is so yellow toned. It might go with some of these other colors. It might actually be really good at like toning down these three right here. But I just am not 100% sure how I feel about having a huge shadow like that. Something about it just bothers me. I almost wish it was cut into three and that they had like three different highlighting shades. One for like light, one for medium, one for dark skin tones. I think that would have really been nice, but this is how they decided to use the space. So anyway, I'm going to get into, you know, just general packaging stuff and then talk about the colors and swatch them. I've used every single shade, so I can tell you guys what I thought. The back of the packaging is where you can find the names of the shadows. That is a big pet peeve of mine. I just realized it's kind of off-center as well, but that's just a sticker placement thing. That doesn't bother me as much. But this is the only place where you can find the shadow names other than, no, the box doesn't really have them either. So you're going to have to keep flipping to the back if you care about that. I do care about that, especially if I mean, I don't post on Instagram very often anymore, but I do post in makeup Facebook groups. And so having this on the back is frustrating when I'm trying to like figure out what shadows I used, and you know, I don't know, I have a really hard time with spatial relations, and so having it say like strawberry here, like these line up pretty well, but it's still a frustrating thing for me. So other than that, it's a very weighty, nice palette. Feels really, really nice and high quality for an indie brand. Not saying that indie brands can't come up with like high quality materials. Like Saucebox has great palette quality, but I wasn't sure what to expect, and I was happy with it. It came in a lovely box that has like this faux, I don't even know, like snakeskin pebbled texture on it. You can kind of see it there. And it has that beautiful holographic. And it had a cute little moon sticker that was holding it closed. So actually there's one on the bottom too. I don't know if they were having issues with the component coming open or what. I didn't even notice the one on the bottom. Anyway, I have been keeping mine in here because of the odd shape of the palette. It doesn't really sit up. Like, I guess you could put it this way in a palette holder. But for me, I like to have mine up like this so it's uniform with everything else. So I've been putting it in the box, and that's probably how I'll keep it. So let's get into swatches, and I'm going to tell you how they work and what I think about the palette and the quality of the shadows, because I really wanted to know what I thought about them. Also, briefly, before I get into the swatches, they sent a free brush with my order, and I have some thoughts on it. You can't buy this. Again, it was totally free. It was just sent. There's two brushes. There's a smaller one and then like a bigger one, and then I got the bigger one. And I'm really liking the actual brush. You can see all my powder coming off. Oof. Really liking the actual quality of the brush itself. But the actual, oh yeah, there's a lot of issues. I thought so. The actual handle itself is really cheap. It's very lightweight, which I don't really care, but it feels very cheap. It's really pretty how it has kind of like an oil slick into black, which is very reminiscent of other products from Black Moon. While they're not necessarily oil slick, they are kind of ombre, so it's very on brand, not on trend. It probably is also on trend, but it's on brand for them. But I'm finding that I'm having like discoloration where there shouldn't be, and that the name is already chipping off, and I've barely had this, you know, I've had it like a week. So I'm not too happy with the fact that the actual component itself seems very, very cheap. The brush bristles are lovely. They're very soft. I use this for my brow bone because I go very generously in with Wet n Wild Brulee, and this is a nice brush for that. So I just wanted to get the brush out of the way so I can put it away. And I'm going to go ahead and put some primer on my hand. This is going to be Wet n Wild's Photo Focus eyeshadow primer. I've been using this because my Urban Decay ran out, and I do like the Wet n Wild quite a bit, actually. Just gotta give it time to like set, because otherwise things get stuck and clumpy to them. So, gotta get my tissue over here for my brush. I'm gonna be using the Real Techniques Instapop brush. This is a new thing for me. I use it to do my makeup today. This is a favorite for me. I love this brush. So I'm going to go ahead and start with New, which is that huge beige shade. It's going to be tough for me. I'm going to have to flip back and forth to the back of the palette. Start off with New. And it's going to be hard to see on my skin tone. I hope you can. I don't think you'll be able to. It's right here. You might be able to see a little bit of yellow. It's essentially my skin tone, but very yellow. And I'm not a fan of that because it's yellow. I don't know. You can't really see. You can a little bit. You can see it a little bit. It's just too yellow for me. It would be great as an inner corner with like the mustard and orange. It would work really well for that. I just can't see it being worthy of putting as much product, like as much of it in this palette as they did. It will work for some people, but I just don't know why they put that much. I don't know. Even as a base shade, I think it's too yellow. Next, I'm going to take Strawberry, which is one of my favorites in the palette, actually. This one is really pretty. They are kind of powdery. They kick up a lot of powder. I'm just going to see if I can show you. They kick up a lot of powder in the pans. Yeah, you can see it on Strawberry. And then there's some on New. They kick up so much powder in the pan, but it's not too bad on the eye. Then there's Strawberry, which is also very light on me. It's what I have on the inner portion of my eye. It's not too pink to the point where it gives me like a pink eye look on my eye. I think it works out really well. It does swatch way more pink than it turns out on the lid. Then we have Cold. See, this is so frustrating. Cold is my favorite color in the entire palette, which is not a surprise to me at all. It's a taupey gray, and I love shades like that. I've been using this every single time I use this palette. It's my crease shade. It's basically what I start off with every single time I reach for this palette. I start with Cold in the crease because I do find that it matches everything in the palette. It is one of the better shades in the palette, I think. Then we have Worm, which is very beautiful. This is a mustard yellow kind of shade, and it is gorgeous. I don't really love yellow on me, if you couldn't tell from how much I don't like the yellow tone cream, but this is a really, really stunningly pigmented color. I have to say, even though I don't love some of the color selections in here, the pigmentation is really great and they're smooth. So there is the next one. This one is called Harvest, and there's actually a lipstick like the same name. A lot of these have corresponding lipsticks, which is really cool. So that's Harvest. So if you want to do like a monochromatic look, you totally could. Next one I think is called Blood. If you haven't noticed, most of these are named after different types of moons. So like Blood Moon, Harvest Moon, and there's Blood. I was really hoping that Blood was going to be more like Sugar Pill Love Plus and be a little bit brighter. That seemed to kind of be what they were alluding to, but it is definitely more of a rusty blood red. I don't wear red eyeshadow very much at all, unless I'm doing like a very intentional red, white, and blue look, or like a sunset look with like red. I don't do it very often, so this is a color that will actually be the least used in this entire palette for me. The next shadow is called, I think, Wolf. I will check. Wolf, and it's kind of a smoky brown. I do have that on in the outer corner, and I think it looks really nice. I need a little bit of better blending right here, but it's alright. It's all good. There's Wolf. And then the last one is a matte black, which is kind of, you know, typical. And you can kind of see how much fallout. This one does have the most fallout on the lid. That's not abnormal for black eyeshadow, but, and that one is called Black. I shouldn't have even looked. I do have a lot of fallout in the entire palette. You can definitely see it now in all the other shades, especially Black. So something to think about if that bothers you, if you like to keep everything nice and neat. So again, these are the colors. There are, what, 8 shades? So they're really beautiful. Now this video is way too long, so I'm going to tell you guys how it works. I find them to blend exceptionally well. I've only ever used them over primer. That is just how I apply my shadows, but I haven't had to use them over a white base or anything that I would with some other shadows. I find them to apply really easily, and it's really, really easy to just slap them on, blend a little bit, and walk out the door. And that way, they remind me a lot of the Kat Von D Shade and Light eyeshadow palette formula. But I actually think I like this formula a little bit better. They're a little silkier. They feel very soft to the touch, but not in a way where they're just crumbly. I know I said there is fallout when you put your brush in there, but it's not to the point where if you touch it, it's just going to explode. It feels very soft, very luxurious. And the blend that I get, today's not exactly the best display of the blending, but they blend really beautifully. I did find that you can layer the shadows really well. I had a good time my first look. I did basically this look, but then I put some orange and red and I just kept layering it, and they work beautifully. The colors are evenly pigmented throughout. Every single shade that I've used has been evenly pigmented. They don't skip. They don't really need a lot of building up. The mustard shade is 100% pigmented right away, which was impressive to me because I've had the opposite experience with other mustards. So I really like the actual quality of the shadows. They're gorgeous. They're really, really nice shadows. It's just not the colors I like to use. And that's okay. There's a market for palettes like this. But for me, it's not something I'm going to be, you know, inspired by. And that's what I was hoping with from Black Moon, because I am often very, very inspired by what they do. But actual palette-wise, really good quality. So if you're looking for something like a basic neutral palette, or you really like these colors, This is something you might really like. It's a beautiful, hefty palette. It's really stunning. Black Moon got this to me within like it was supposed to get here within 3 days, and then the USPS kind of messed up. So it's not Black Moon's fault. They shipped it out within like a couple hours of me ordering it. No joke. It came out really, like it was shipped very quickly. I like the way it closes. The actual palette itself is very nice. Like I said, there's things I would change. I wouldn't have that big of a, tan shade in there. I think that's wasted space and wasted opportunity. They always have their products on a wide range of models of different skin tones, so I would have liked to see them cater to that a little bit more and put in different highlight shades, different brow bone, all over, whatever you want to call them. I just typically use them on my brow bone. I just really wish they would have like a wider variety. So overall, I really like them. I think that they blend exceptionally well. They look gorgeous. They last all day. That's important. They don't fade. They stay looking gorgeous. And that's just with $4.99 eyeshadow primer. You know what I mean? Like, they work really well. I don't know what else to say, guys. It's $48, which I think is pretty pricey for an indie brand. But it's comparable to, like, getting, the Shade and Light eye palette at Sephora. And in my opinion, it's just as good, if not a little bit better. So whether or not you think it's worth it to, spend that much on an indie brand product is up to you. For me, I was obviously willing to do it. I really like the brand. They've never been like a cheap brand. Like, their lipsticks are $18. They're on par, and they've always been on par with Sephora prices. But $48 does kind of seem like a lot of money when you're just kind of like dropping it on an indie brand, especially if you haven't tried them before. So keeping that in mind, it is expensive. But I think it's a gorgeous palette. I think it's a nice investment if you need a neutral palette. Will it be my go-to forever and always? No, because I'm not the biggest neutral fan. But if you're looking for a mustard yellow that's gonna like blow your mind, you're gonna find it in here. And Cold, I love that color. It's amazing. I want that in single because it's great. Anyway, I'm going to try and film a couple more videos. I'm really upset about this lipstick, so I'm going to go fix it. And yeah, I'm going to try and film a couple more things. So I will talk to you guys later, and I hope you enjoyed the review. Let me know if you picked up the Black Moon Cosmetics Orb of Light Full Moon palette and what you thought about it, or what's holding you back from it, because I definitely understand people having reservations and being upset with the fact that it isn't more unique than it is. So I will talk to you guys later. And yeah, bye.